With September now almost halfway through, all eyes are beginning to look to October, and if history repeats, we will be seeing a massive breakout coming to crypto, smashing through the all-time highs across the board. And so, in this video, as always, we'll be covering the latest price action, and is the big correction of September now over? Then, where are we in the 4-year cycle, and why October is set to be a massive month for the crypto market? And then we'll finish with the biggest developments from all around the world in just the past couple of weeks. Okay, so first up, let's jump into the latest price action as things are really starting to heat up. Okay, so jumping into the latest price action, and as always, this is a BTC USD on the daily, and what do we see? Well, literally today it just retested this previous trading range here. As from the bottom, this is looking very, very strong, because the big question was, is Bitcoin going to do a final flush to this $100,000 level? However, over the past week, it has been building up and looking strong. Now, this is mainly just to do with two reasons, and things went in our favor. Just flipping over to September, we saw that literally 2 days ago was PPI, followed by the CPI, and we got good numbers on both. Now, this easily could have gone the other way. In fact, the last time PPI came out was this day here. It was PPI that started this massive sell-off, as it was much higher than expected. So this is what happens when the inflation data goes the wrong way, and this is what happens when the inflation data goes the right way. So we had good PPI, good CPI, and these were the two biggest risks of this week. So this is certainly bullish momentum. There's nothing to say that over the next few days we can't get back into this trading range. And then this brings us nicely over to next week. And what do we have next week? Well, it is the Fed meeting, and this is likely going to be the big Fed pivot where they finally start bringing down rates. And then the other thing to look for is, are they going to be ending QT? So for me, I did now move some of my cash position into more risk, so going back into the crypto market. So now I have a good Bitcoin position and less than 10% in cash. And the final piece, if this turns out to be a sell the news event, final piece will probably be added either on the 17th or the 18th, and then it's game on for Q4. Now, when it comes to seasonality, we can now really take a look at what Q4 has to offer. So this is Bitcoin, and we're going to highlight the post-halving years, so this being 2013. And what do we see? Well, September, you can see it is a bit of a turbulent month. You never know what's going to happen. But then this time around was a 60% gain, followed by over 400%, which marked the top of this cycle before coming down in December. Then 2017, you can see September is a turbulent month. However, followed by October, 48%, 53%, and then 40%. This is the one we want to see, a massive 2017. Then 2021 was a little bit different. Again, September wasn't a great month, but 40% in October, and then it had already peaked out and started coming down. So the big question, what is going to happen this time around? As we can see, the correction happened in August, as now we're already up 6%, moving into the most exciting part. And then when it comes to Ethereum, one less cycle on Ethereum, but we have 2017, which very interestingly in October wasn't a big month. Even though, yes, a big correction in September, October, not so great. However, 42%, then 70%. This was an epic finish to the year. 2021 was a bit different. Again, not a great month in September. However, 43% in October, which was great, 10% November, but then it had already peaked and started coming down. So again, what is going to happen here? Ethereum most recently has been looking really, really strong. And there is one thing that really jumps out to me in this data this time around, and that is in the post-halving year of 2017, just look how strong it was in the first half of the year. Absolutely massive moves. Then again, 2021, a massive start to the year, 80%, 835, 44. However, this time around, just look how weak Ethereum was in the first part of the year. So does this suggest that it's all going to be back-loaded and we're going to finish with a massive October, November, December? All about probabilities, but the fact that we haven't had a massive year suggests this could be the case. Now, when it comes to the 4-year cycle, this is the best chart for me. And we're now looking at this period here. So let's just zoom in. So most recently, we're all about navigating this big correction that typically happens in September. However, because we got it a little bit earlier, the idea was that it had already happened. And this most recent strength suggests that this is going to be the case. The good thing is that we're still actually below the average of the 3 cycles. So could we get another little bit of downside before coming back? Absolutely. It becomes less likely that unless there's a major shock in world events that we're going now to be coming down to this 100,000. And then what's most exciting is that we're going into this end of the month October period. And if history repeats, it's going to be an absolutely epic month for Bitcoin. And so likely the entire crypto market. This suggests that we'll work our way back up to about 120,000 and then in just 1 month alone breaking to 150,000 before a nice little pullback towards the end of the month. So the 4-year cycle suggests to me this crash could very well be over. However, we just need to remember one thing. So looking at this, splitting out the different cycles, we can see in 2017, the actual bottom was a little bit later in the month. We're just coming up to this period now. And then in 2021, it didn't bottom out until about the 3rd week. So we're not completely out of the woods just yet. However, the fact that on average we are still below is a good thing. Then finishing up with the biggest developments, and there's a few, so I'll punch through these quite quickly. Firstly, a massive use case for crypto, this time coming from the US government, as it's partnered with Chainlink to publish economic data and putting it on chain. And they uploaded it to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, as well as Tron, Avalanche, Stellar, and some Ethereum layer 2s, Polygon, Arbitrum, and Optimism. So great use case coming from the government itself. Next, we have these epic treasury companies, which is a massive part of the cycle this time. Clean Core came out and said they're going to be doing 175 million for a Dogecoin strategy. So this is hilarious. The stock did initially plunge, but I think it has recovered somewhat. Sol Strategies becomes the first Solana treasury to actually list on the Nasdaq. Also, we have the company Forward Industry raising over $1 billion to do a Solana corporate treasury as well. So these corporate treasuries are going crazy. Great news for Robinhood investors as it took the stock almost back to all-time highs as it got added to the S&P 500. This was great news for Robinhood, but unfortunately MicroStrategy didn't make the cut. Now, this is interesting because nation states are now calling to create a crypto reserve. Now, although this isn't until 2026, obviously nation states are gonna be behind the curve. Retail investors, ourselves, were able to front run all of this, but great to see nation states calling for digital asset reserves. We had Fidelity rolling out their own treasury fund on Ethereum, copying BlackRock. We saw Binance partnering with Franklin Templeton, which is a $1 trillion asset manager, to start creating a whole number of different crypto products. So this is amazing to see in itself. Now, this is the list of all the different types of crypto ETFs that are waiting at the SEC, waiting to be approved. As you can see, there's absolutely an enormous amount of crypto ETFs set to go live. Now, a whole bunch of these are going to be going live this year. In fact, there's a few that may be going live as soon as next week. So this is going to play the part in making Q4 a massive month. However, saving the best to last, again, this is the big one for me. So Trump did his executive order to let US retirement plans get access to crypto. However, the question for me is this going to happen before the end of the year? This is the big one. It's over $10 trillion that could be getting access to crypto and all these ETFs that you just saw on the last page. Is it going to be approved before the end of the year and give us a Q4 that we're all going to remember? As we are now almost halfway through September, we are now looking to October, which, if history repeats, is going to be a massive month. As we saw in the 4-year cycle, it is Q4 that we've all been waiting for, where you get the biggest gains in the shortest amount of time, and now it's only 2 weeks away. And the biggest developments just keep coming in thick and fast. However, the biggest one for me is the $10 trillion of US pension funds going to get access to crypto before the end of the year. So there you are, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Now, with only 2 weeks away till October, tell me who else is feeling incredibly bullish. If you do have any burning questions, then simply use super thanks below. However, just remember, to get rid of 100% of the comment spam and trading bots that plague YouTube comments, we are trying out the new SuperThanks Commenting system. So to get your question or comment read and replied to, or just to say thanks, then use super thanks below. And for now, just to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.